Good to see you, everyone. My name is Robbie Howell. 12 is a very special number for Enclave, and by extension for me. And as such, the fact that we are now coming up on Enclave's 12th anniversary is a very special thing. Happy Enclaversary, everyone. Yes, indeed, 12 years ago to this very day, I hosted the first mission of what was recognizably Enclave in my college dorm room when I was a sophomore. I wanted to take the opportunity to do two things today. One, to tell you all that I am immensely grateful for your support. And for two, I wanted to take the opportunity to revitalize a bit of an old tradition back in the days of proto-Enclave. And that is to, on every Enclaversary, share our superlatives, our favorite missions of the year. Or in my case, I'm going to do for the last 2 years since I launched my first campaign. What have been my favorite missions? And for the sake of interest, I am going to limit myself to only recorded actual plays that you can actually go watch on the channel. I would strongly encourage all of you, either in the comments section here or on Discord or wherever the heck else, share your favorite mission if you've conduited and what made it your favorite, what of your strengths you think were on display. And if you've been a player, share what missions you've loved and give the designers their props. Share your favorite scenes that have starred other people, give them their props. This is a season to be grateful, or at least it is for me. So to whatever degree you are comfortable and willing, I'd love to hear your superlatives of either this past year or since you started playing the game. Your favorite missions, your favorite scenes, and similar. To start with my superlatives, I want to share 6 missions on the channel right now. My 6th favorite mission on the channel that I hosted is called Dragonfly Daughter Dearest. This featured the player's captain playing his illusionist Bruletta, Meekable playing her vessel Totoi, and Detour playing his legendary gunslinger Crow. And the premise was the group had to help a fugitive and her guardian find this alien spaceship in a sacred woodland while being pursued by an elite team of commandos. I think first and foremost, what I loved about this mission was the contrast between the setting and the plot, if that makes sense. They were in this beautiful, almost redwood-like forest, completely untouched, primeval even. And yet they were dealing with futuristic technology and giant insectoid spaceships, and the fugitive herself was an insectoid amalgam, and all the commandos had very advanced, kind of near-futuristic technology. And so that made a fun contrast, but also there were only, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 enemies on the entire mission, the commandos. But they were so intelligent and well-equipped and dangerous that they posed a massive threat, even to this group of seasoned players and a number of very high-level characters. Crow was taken at gunpoint midway through the mission and had to go through the rest of the mission with his hands bound together. That was incredible, and he pulled it off beautifully. And so the threat level was off the charts, and that's because these are very veteran players. I wanted to give them a serious challenge, and it ended up working out beautifully. It was a very tensely ambient mission with these pockets of incredibly intense combat, and I was really happy with how it came out. Now, number 5. Again, link up here if you want to take a look at it. My number 5 mission on this channel is called Don't Bow. This featured Kadrian, playing his legendary Thane Nemi, Connor playing his, again, legendary Thane Karanis, and Reese playing his relatively low-level Greybeard Griselda, who in my eyes became legendary on this mission. This mission featured a prophet and a small group of his followers being cornered by a group of their enemies trying to wipe them out. Among them, an incredibly intelligent and powerful dragon. And when I mean powerful, I mean vaporize armies powerful. This took place on this like placid mountain meadow. It was another kind of beautiful setting contrasting with a very gritty sort of mission. But more interestingly, the group started completely outflanked, not to mention wildly outnumbered, with the enemies divided into 4 groups, attacking them from uphill, downhill, and side to side all at once. And the prophet's followers were almost completely defenseless. So perfect environment for 2 Thanes to kind of marshal the battlefield, funnel enemies in, equip the prophet, summon their own soldiers, awesome stuff, while Griselda took on the rather daunting task of trying to deal with the dragon. Which, full credit to her, she actually did beautifully. So similar to Dragonfly Daughter Dearest, this was a very tense, dangerous mission, but I think I liked this one so much because of how tactical it was. We rarely get to show like full battles in Enclave, and even though this wasn't, massive scale, there was like over 100 enemies, it still made the players think very tactically, and they rose to the challenge beautifully. I got to challenge them in a lot of different ways. They were outflanked and outmaneuvered in so many different directions. They had to really prioritize, and I find that very compelling. That, and also some wildly cool combat scenes, almost start to finish, and Reese pulling off one of my favorite performances of all time from him. Now, number 4 is another combat mission. I promise they're not all combat missions. This one is called Sands of Slaughter. This one, again, linked up here if you want to go see it, was played by Detour with his Lithomancer of Basalt, and Captain, again, with his Thunderbird Tybalt. This took place in this eerie circus, actually one of the pre-con settings in the official book, the Folderwall Circus. It consisted of an acrobatic performance that was going to kill dozens of innocent audience members in the process, all of whom were hypnotized to go along with it. And the squad's mission was to end this acrobatic performance before all of the innocents that would be involved in it would be killed. This was a start-to-finish pure combat mission. One of the rare ones on the channel that is, I would say, pure combat. They were fighting within like 5 minutes of porting onto the mission. Real time. And not only was the combat marvelously fun, really agile enemy, multiple phases, so to speak, lots of like ads from other enemies jumping in, various circus implements that have been weaponized, really dangerous. Again, very veteran players, I give them a lot more danger. But the Lithomancer and the Thunderbird are kind of a uniquely dynamic duo in terms of classes. They're both very mobile, they both play with their surroundings, they're both very combat focused. And this mission showed off just how fun it is to pair those two classes together in a really satisfying way that added a lot to the combat. I think on top of that, though, what made it so special was that Detour and Captain are both very good players with great combat sensibilities, and not only did they rise to the challenge that I provided them beautifully, but on top of that, they actually had a lot of really intense character moments that punctuated the combat and made it all that much more meaningful. This was one of those missions where all the characters involved at the end were like, I believe, red in essence and stamina. All of them. And when that happens, you know you've challenged them just right. Extremely fun mission. It also makes for great viewing. I'd say this is one of the most viewable missions on this list if you just want something casual, because it's on the shorter side and it's very action-packed. Okay, next, my number 3 mission on the YouTube channel of all time is called The Sun Won't Forgive You. Take a look at it up here. This featured Jim of the Old Warlock playing his gunslinger Sloane, Garnet playing her illusionist Dahlia, and it was the first ever mission of a player named Essie playing the Thane Maeve. So this was a much lower level group than the other ones I've talked about thus far, and overall the people on it have played fewer total missions, and yet this thing was incredible. It started in the middle of this abandoned desert oasis surrounded by a maze of sand. This oasis was cursed to call people to it and tempt them with a precious fruit, but if they consumed it, it would curse them. And the group had to help one member of a doomed expedition escape this place, while not only the curse took hold on her former companions, but also a rival expedition was starting to try to make their way through the maze to reach the center oasis. And on top of all of that, the oasis was beginning to collapse, with the sand kind of falling away to nothing, which put them on multiple clocks. They have to escape before the collapsing floor catches up to them. They have the enemies inbound. But on top of all that, they have the desert sun beating down on them. And I think that was part of what made me like this mission so much. Yes, the enemies were a threat. Yes, the collapsing sand was a threat. Yes, the maze was a challenge. And yes, there was strange magic afoot. But the sun was the greatest enemy of this mission. Oh, it was so cool to have the ambient threat be the scariest. And so a lot of the mission was them trying to manage the sunlight and figure out how not to get baked alive. Beautiful acting performances, awesome team play, great strategizing, and it was a really cool example of a very tense, action-packed mission that was more of a puzzle than anything else. The players did beautifully. They totally blew me out of the water with their ability, far beyond the number of missions they've been on. And that is no surprise. Not only do I very much hope that Essie gets to play again someday, and Garnet and Jim play more often because they're awesome, but I was just really pleased with the pacing of this one. And I think it makes for great viewing. That said, we now move on to number 2, my second favorite mission on the entirety of the YouTube channel. That is a very recent one, the most recent one on the list, called Manners Maketh Madness. This consisted of Zella playing her now legendary vessel Lani, and Jonas playing their lithomancer Ishuna. This mission consisted of the two characters being sent to this strange demonic dinner party where hapless victims were being force-fed and manners were imposed with an iron fist. Anyone who broke manners was effectively condemned to like a demonic oubliette. And their goal was to free one of these dinner guests from this oubliette and help them get away, while at the same time comporting with all of the strange and arbitrary rules of politeness that governed this realm, not to mention contending with the many eerie and grotesque creatures that they encountered along the way. We know that Zella does great in social missions. She not only had great strategic thinking, but she also just portrayed Lani beautifully, as she was effectively descending into madness by how awful this place was as the mission was going on. Great stuff. But Jonas knocked my socks off. They are a fantastic player, and I only wish I had gotten to host for them sooner. Seeing both of them navigate this strange social realm that was so uncanny and had all of these rules that you weren't told up front and had to figure out, and navigating that social puzzle while also figuring out the puzzle of where the target is, and then the ending combat sequence of trying to break him out. Beautiful stuff. It was a challenge that normally I wouldn't have thrown at a player I had never hosted before, but I'd heard that Jonas was pretty good, and that was fully confirmed. And on top of that, I know Zella super well, and I know what she's capable of, and she certainly proved that on this one. Also of note, Manners Maketh Madness is the shortest mission on this list in terms of viewing, so if you want to watch one and you just want to go for the shortest, this one. It's a great example of not only very high-level play from the players, but also a great example of kind of how far you can push the boundaries of realism in Enclave while still allowing it to feel coherent. Even though this was in a almost purely surreal environment, the players took to it beautifully and quickly figured out what they could and couldn't get away with. And that's something I'm really proud of with this one. Now, number 1 coming up, but before we do, a couple of honorable mentions. 1, the entire Seekers of the Sun saga. This thing was incredible. 5 missions consisting of 15 different characters and something like 10 or 11 different players, all contributing to this awesome overarching storyline, spurred on by Captain. It was incredible. If you have 20 hours to kill, I highly recommend it. That's 1. Second of all, Clouds Join Hands. A mission of 3 Thunderbirds fighting another very high-level Thunderbird. Oh, it was so cool. Not only was there great play on all sides, quite action-packed as well, but a really satisfying ending that had a very kind of like, I guess, anime sort of feel. And lastly, of the honorable mentions, Heroes Who Lift the Bat. Suto's level 10 mission. Meekable's now truly legendary Thunderbird, the first level 10 in the game's history since it was published. And this was a solo mission just for Suto of him rematching the Thunderbird I was just talking about in Clouds Join Hands. It was fantastic. I genuinely loved this mission. It was also relatively short, but as a conduit, solo missions are much easier for me and for many others than like more standard missions. And so it's a lot easier for me to make a good solo mission. It's like kind of cheating, I suppose. So I didn't want this to take up a spot on my list, even though I think it's amazing and it's very good viewing. From a conduiting perspective, I'm less proud of myself for this one than I am, especially for number 1 on the list. And that is the classic, the legendary, one of the earliest actual plays on this channel, and certainly the earliest really good one, Talons in the Dark. Talons in the Dark featured Mary May and her legendary illusionist Ciri. Detour, again, playing his legendary gunslinger Crow. This was Crow's first mission. And Okami, aka Aiden, who is awesome and we hope plays more often, playing his illusionist Aris. And this entailed the group being sent to a woodland of perpetual autumn and night to rescue an Enclave agent who had been attacked during a mission and was bleeding out. But to do so, they had to find him in the woods and navigate the eerie, creepy Thiusu, owl monsters that would draw ballots to decide people's death, and I described as being Slenderman owl bears that stand 3 stories tall. One of the scariest enemies I've ever had on a mission, and there were a lot of them too. I think what I was so proud of with this mission was not only the fact that the Thiusu were a really cool antagonist that has become canonized in many ways, such as in the now thumbnail art for the mission. This is a piece that's going to be in the book that is based on this mission. Not only that, the players had such great buy-in and made this tense horror mission all that much more fun and real and there because of their buy-in to it. They played well. It was Detour's first mission, and Mary and Okami had played all of like 5 missions between them. And still, for this extremely new group, engaging with a very scary mission, they played beautifully. But on top of that, as you guys may know, I often generate missions pretty much on the spot. But for a lot of the actual plays on the channel, I will get focus words like a week, sometimes a couple weeks in advance, and generate like a half hour before I record. This mission is one of the few actual plays that we have up right now that I received focus words on camera, generated in about 5 minutes, and the result, I think, ended up being way better than if I had gotten them far in advance. I was really, really happy with the design, and especially the spontaneity of the design. And that is why I think that Talons in the Dark is my single favorite mission on the entire channel. If you haven't watched it, I'd highly recommend it. I think it's one of my best of all time. And as you know, I've been hosting this game for quite a while. Even though Proto-Enclave was almost unrecognizable in some ways, there were a lot of things that were consistent, such as the mission structure, such as the institution of the Enclave, such as focus words. Make sure you join me for the progress report on Saturday, or catch the VOD in post, because I'm going to be showing something interesting from Enclave's past that is related to Enclaversary and Superlatives and things of that nature that will hopefully give you guys a sense of the depth of this game, the gravity of this game, the amount that I've been trying to live up to with this game because of the amount of time I've put into it, but also the amount that people have loved it over the years. And I hope that you too fall into that boat of really loving this game. I certainly do. It's extremely special to me, and I hope that it is special to you as well, or that it becomes that way someday. And so, before I get all sappy on you, I think we may as well wrap this thing up. I hope you've enjoyed my quick overview of my favorite missions in the history of the Enclave channel here. I cannot wait to read your superlatives, because it's really exciting and wonderful to me to not only see people talking about what they love about Enclave, but also people shouting out each other and shouting out how other people have made their experiences better and have made kind of core memorable moments for them. I think that's awesome. I think it's one of the things Enclave does best, and I really, really look forward to seeing what sort of memories you guys have of the game. But until then, my name is Robbie Howell. More conventional videos coming soon, and ciao for now.